topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Barry G. Fowler, EA, brings you Tax Talk for You right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. As an enrolled agent and a national leader in tax resolution, as well as trucker, bookkeeping, and tax planning with over 30 years of experience, Barry will break down taxes, bookkeeping, tax planning, and tax relief for individuals and businesses just like you. So let's have some Tax Talk for You with your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome. What a great week this is going to be. Just a reminder to be thankful for everything in your life that you've earned and God has given you. God is great in allowing us, choices and making the choice to be the best that we can be out here. We're here today to talk about taxes and talk about things that affect your life on the financial side, as well. And one of those things, and it's the biggest question we keep getting from our people we do taxes for and those that own businesses and truckers, owner-operators, is this thing called BOI, Beneficial Ownership Information. Hey, what is it? Do I have to file? What are the penalties? Why are we doing this stuff? If you own or plan to form a limited liability company or Inc., you need to understand the beneficial ownership information reporting requirements. This was introduced by the Corporate Transparency Act. It was created to increase business transparency that BOI, beneficial ownership information for LLCs and Inc., reports or helps ensure that ownership information is clear in aiding the fight against financial crimes. Okay. I understand they want to do this and they need this information to fight financial crimes. But a lot of this information is already given to them via K-1s on your tax returns and is already reported. So sometimes I feel like we're getting overly reported and overly burdened with regulations. But hey, it is what it is. I know some people have sued over this and they've gotten some exemptions, but it doesn't apply to most companies out there, most LLCs. So let's spend some time. We're going to explore what BOI for a company is, what it entails, why it matters, and then how to comply with these requirements. So a BOI or beneficial ownership information report identifies the people who own or significantly influence a business. Specifically, a BOI report documents the details of anyone who exerts significant control over a business or holds 25% or more of the reporting company's ownership interests. So as of January 1, 2024, these requirements now apply to LLCs and Incs. Because the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, you may have heard that before, wants to maintain this information for transparency. And in the past, LLCs didn't have to report information about their owners to FinCEN. The BOI reporting requirement has changed that. This transparency step, they say, is essential for government to track business ownerships, prevent unlawful activities like money laundering via a small shell corporation. So, what does this all involve? It's essentially structured record of each owner's name, address, date of birth, and other identifying information. If you understand this, it can, understanding this can help you stay compliant and protect your business and its integrity. So is it required for your LLC? Most LLCs, most Incs in the United States are required to file a BOI report. But there are some exemptions. Generally, any LLC that is created or registered with the Secretary of State or similar office must submit a BOI report. However, your LLC is already regulated by federal agencies, such as certain financial institutions. You could be exempt from the filings. So, you got to look at each situation. Nonprofits and some larger entities that are already under strict and heavily burdened financial guidelines and regulations and oversight may also avoid the BOI requirements. So if you're wondering, hey, is BOI reporting required for your LLC? Just got to keep in mind that most registered small businesses will need to file. You can talk with your legal advisor. That's where I recommend you go. One, we are not an attorney, never wanted to be an attorney, don't charge legal fees. So don't take this as legal advice. Contact your attorney if you have questions about the legality of this or whether maybe you have the exemptions. So again, certain structures, certain industries will have exemptions. Taking the time to understand whether you qualify for any exemptions from the CTA. That's the Corporate Transparency Act. It can save you from unnecessary paperwork or unnecessary penalties. Now, the next big question that comes in is, do single member LLCs, are they required to file a BOI? Yeah. Single member LLCs generally need to file a BOI report if they meet the requirements in the Corporate Transparency Act, CTA. Even though single member LLCs, you have a straightforward ownership structure, the BOI is considered to still be required for transparency. Maybe that's double transparency. Is it something similar to like double jeopardy? I know. Double transparency just means, hey, we're doubly reporting. You report part with your tax return, whether it's a Schedule C on your 1040 or whether it is an S corporation, it doesn't matter. It's transparency for CTA. But again, you could be exempt based on your activities or federal oversight. So the next question is, if you're an S corp, are you required to file this BOI? Yes. Again, under that corporate treaty or Corporate Transparency Act, as a pass-through entity under subchapter S of the Internal Revenue Code, that qualifies as a reporting company that is created or registered to do business by the filing of a document with Secretary of State or similar office and does not qualify for any of the exemptions to the reporting requirements. And then you must comply with those reporting requirements. The S Corp's pass-through structure for tax purposes does not affect your BOI reporting obligations. And so in particular, pass-through treatment under S Corp status does not qualify as a tax-exempt entity under FinCEN BOI reporting regulations. See, isn't this fun? Government regulation. The more regulation and the more they put on you and I to run our business here that we're going to run legally anyway, adds more and more red tape, more expense, whether it's time or money paying somebody to do this, or learning and understanding these kind of regulations just cost you and I money to run our business. Sometimes it's just to say, hey, get the heck out of our life. Let us run our business. We're going to do it legally anyway. We're going to pay our taxes as required. Why do we have to continue to fight and do things as crazy as beneficial ownership information as required under the CTA? So, per this CTA, beneficial ownership information, who's exempt from these reporting requirements? We talked about some are exempt from BOI reporting, maybe because they're publicly traded companies. They're already heavily regulated. They were already reporting their major shareholders and who owns their shares. They're already heavily burdened by regulations by all the federal agencies, whether it's the SEC, but other entities such as nonprofits, tax-exempt entities, and specific types of financial institutions may qualify for this exemption as well. BOI has a whole list of entities that would be considered exempt from BOI. It's security reporting issuers, governmental authorities, banks, credit unions, deposit institution holding companies, money service businesses, broker-dealer in securities and exchange or clearing agencies, other Exchange Act registered entities, venture capital fund advisor, insurance company, state licensed insurance producer, Commodity Exchange Act registered entities, accounting firms, public utilities, financial market utilities, pooled investment vehicles. And this list goes on through about 25 different types of entities. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about who is a beneficial owner. We'll be right back after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. If you owe the IRS or are going through an IRS audit, don't go at it alone. Call Taxation Solutions Tax Relief at 888-930-1016. We are your solution for IRS debts, audits, back taxes, garnishments, liens, and levies. Whether you're an individual or business, you need a solution and a strong, aggressive tax resolution. Don't let the IRS walk all over you. Stop the IRS now. Call 888-930-1016 or go to taxationsolutions.net now for a free, no obligation consultation. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. We're going to be talking about beneficial ownership information and the BOI filings that's required by the Corporate Transparency Act, and how it relates for you and your business, whether you're an LLC, Inc. One of the questions that just came in from Chad. Chad is running a DBA as an owner-operator. Hey, thank you for transporting goods around the country for everybody. It's very much an underappreciated industry that's out there that Trucker Tax Tools does a lot of work for. You being a DBA, no, you are not required, as long as that DBA is under your personal name, not underneath an LLC or an Inc., you would not be required to file a BOI. Remember, this is entities that are set up through your Secretary of State or similar groups. So it could be Inc., it can be an LLC, LLP. There could be there's a couple other entities out there that you can set up underneath your Secretary of State, depending on what state you're in. So check with your attorney. But if you're just a DBA, that you just got the doing business as, so if it's Chad doing business as Express Transportation, whatever name your company would happen to be, you would not have to file that. So, but let's get into who's a beneficial owner. So who does the Corporate Transparency Act, FinCEN, claim to be a beneficial owner? So a beneficial owner is an individual who directly or indirectly exercises substantial control over a reporting company, or owns or controls at least 25% of the reporting company's ownership interests. Ooh, just 25%. Okay, so as long as anybody under that 25% ownership or control would not have to be reported. This is definitely crucial in understanding who must be reported as a beneficial ownership and whose information needs to be reported. So if you're going to determine if an individual is a beneficial owner, you got to consider certain factors. Does the individual have the ability to make important decisions on behalf of the company? Does the individual have significant ownership stake in the company, either directly or indirectly? Does the individual exercise substantial control over the company's operations or finances? So in the context of, let's say, an LLC or an Inc., beneficial owners generally will include the founding members and managers. These beneficial owners might be active participants in the business or members who have just invested in the company. So you may have people that are actively involved and have more voting rights in an LLC and have more than 25% control, but they could own less than 25% interest. Or you could have people that have invested more money in the business, but are not actively involved and not exercising or do have the power to exercise control. So, you kind of got to look at this and weigh out where the control lies. So this being said, there are several individuals who aren't considered beneficial owners of a company, and that would include your minor children, even if they own more than 25%. Individuals acting as nominees, intermediaries, custodians, or agents of another individual. So somebody else representing, working for an individual representing them. Employees acting solely as employees, even if they have the power to make decisions. Individuals who only interest in the company is a future interest through right of maybe inheritance. So let's say your kids may have a right of inheritance. They're not going to be listed as beneficial owners today. Now, when they do inherit it, they might become a beneficial ownership of it, depending on the percentage and the power and control that they put out there. Your creditors, yes, they may have some influence over it, but they're going to get paid. So it's very essential to accurately identify your beneficial owners, because this is what's reported to FinCEN. So as a reporting company, it's crucial to understand who your beneficial owners are and to report the information accurately and timely. So how are you going to go about filing a BOI? Filing your BOI is going to have some pretty straightforward but very essential steps. And make sure you follow these steps to ensure you meet your requirements. So first thing you're going to want to do is gather your beneficial ownership information before you even start. Collect the detailed information on each beneficial owner to provide accurate information to FinCEN. You need to make sure you have their full names, their addresses, the dates of birth, valid identification numbers such as driver's license or even passport for each person that meets the criteria. Now, hey, reporting, you got to get this done before January. So start gathering that information now. Go get the BOI form, fill it out before you file it online. You can find that form, the official form, at BOI forms on the FinCEN Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN website, or you can pay a third-party service to guide you through this process and ensure you're getting the reporting done. So you can sit down and decide which way you want to go to do it. Do you want to spend the money to do it, or do you have the time to sit down and do it yourself? If you can sit down and do it yourself, go to FinCEN and file it there. Then complete the forms accurately. Fill out the forms carefully. Hey, check each entry for accuracy. Errors or incomplete information may lead to delays and then penalties. Every piece of information, such as names, ID numbers, dates of birth, need to match the official records that they have on file for them. And then submit the BOI form. Once the form's complete, you can submit it via FinCEN through their online portal or through a certified third-party provider. Keep proof of your submission, such as confirmation numbers, which will serve as your record of compliance. And then retain the documentation. After submitting it, store a copy of that BOI filing form and supporting documents in a secure place. Helps ensure that if you need to reference that in the future, you have that report and you can provide proof of the submission and everything is accessible. Hey, I always tell people, if you don't have a scanner, take a picture of it, set up a folder on your phone so you have it at your fingertips. Keep the information out there. That's one of the big things that you need to do is, I always tell you, CYA. We're covering yourself. That's what you're doing. Cover your rear end out there. Because you never want to fall out of compliance. People have expressed to me a lot of times, there's privacy concerns with this. And I agree. I think our government has overstepped in asking for this information and asking for compliance. But uploading copy of your identifying information, like your passport or driver's license, can feel like a risk, and no business owner wants to put their personal life or data to be compromised or at risk. But FinCEN says, hey, you should rest assured that your data would be safe. We've got to believe in some of these portals out there, and hopefully it is. BOI isn't like your articles of organization. They don't go on the public record and they're not accessible by anybody else. The BOI report information can only be accessed by federal or state law enforcement, sometimes with the court order. I would say hopefully all the time with the court order. Officials at the Department of Treasury and similar groups have to go through chain of command to be able to do that. And we're hoping and praying that, again, your data, hopefully, and we prayerfully say, won't fall into the wrong hands. Now, when we come right back after this, we're going to talk about penalties for non-compliance with BOI filings and for LLCs and Incs, and what happens if you fail to submit a BOI report or you file it with inaccurate information. And we're going to do that right after we come back.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Trucker Tax Tools handles all your bookkeeping and taxes no matter what level trucker you are. Life on the road can be taxing, but that doesn't mean that your wallet or time with your family should suffer. Trucker Tax Tools makes your life run smoothly. Go to truckertaxtools.com for a free guide that will give you the tools to never worry about your taxes again. Call Trucker Tax Tools at 877-966-2477 or go to truckertaxtools.com now and let the experts keep you trucking. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. We're talking about beneficial ownership information and BOI's filings, what's required, and where do we go, from here. And, it's always interesting questions we get in. And right before the break, we got a nice question from Sarah asking about, can I go to jail if I don't do this? They certainly threaten it. It's like with everything that's a rule of law out here that government puts in place, it comes with penalties. It comes sometimes with, threat of jail time or whatever. But, the penalties for noncompliance with BOI filings is there to enforce this law and force you to act, force you to get this done. So failing to submit a BOI report or submitting one with inaccurate information, yes, can lead to severe penalties. These consequences, yes, they can be pretty severe, including both civil and criminal penalties. That's where they're getting to the jail time side. Civil penalties max out at $500 per day that you're out of compliance. Wow. Who can afford that? Wow. Criminal penalties can include fines of up to $10,000 and up to 2 years of imprisonment. So, Sarah, yeah, they put this in to the code. Crazy. So it's crucial you pay attention to the actual and public notices regarding the deadlines for your initial BOI report, as different deadlines will be there based on the year of formation. So if you discover an error in your BOI report, correct it immediately to make sure that you're avoiding these penalties. Make sure you look at your BOI filing details and review them regularly, especially if there's ownership changes, control changes in your business. And then make sure that BOI filing is updated. So staying compliant with BOI filing requirements will protect your business from costly mistakes and allow it to operate smoothly. Now remember, you only have to change it if there's changes in ownership or control. So this is supposed to be a one-time filing until there's a change in that control or ownership. Now, where do you go? What are your tools? What are your resources for doing this BOI filing? What I tell you is if you have major questions on BOI filings, call your attorney, talk to your attorney. Let them discuss with you whether you're required to file this. Maybe you can find an exemption with the attorney. But if you want to do this on yourself because you're an LLC and you got to file, you don't fall into one of the 25 exempt businesses. You're not a publicly traded company. You can go to FinCEN and look at their guidelines, download their forms, and you can actually file right there online with FinCEN, and you can do that. Now, that website for FinCEN is fincen.gov, FINCEN.gov, and you can access the information there. Or you can go to a third-party BOI filing service, and you can actually get their assistance in filing these forms online and help you navigate the requirements and submit accurate reports out there. So if you're an LLC and you were established this year, your attorney or wherever you filed it should have walked you through or got you to file the BOI report. If you were set up prior to December 31st, 2024, you would have a deadline, or 2023, you would have a deadline of this year of filing. So make sure that you get in and do the filing. Make sure you're gathering all the appropriate information to make this filing to save you from potential penalties, whether it's civil, whether it's criminal. I would assume the criminal is if you're committing fraud and you are hiding major people ownership out there, or you're faking who actually owns the business. I've seen that happen before as well. So make sure that if you're responsible or you have control of the business, whether it's 25% or more, make sure the business entity is getting this filing done as soon as possible. I suggest don't wait. I suggest you get in there and get the filing done and taken care of as soon as possible. So, go to fincin.gov and make your filings right there on their website. Like I said, there's plenty of information out here of how to file. Do I qualify for an exemption? How do I get a FinCEN ID? All that's right there under the beneficial ownership information at fincin.gov. There's some fraudulent companies out there that are actually attempting to solicit information from you and entities that are going to be subject to this Corporate Transparency Act and the BOI filing. So, make sure you're checking out who you're using, because just jumping in and doing BOI filing can lead you to some malicious websites, can lead you to people that are actually trying to gather information from you for not a good purpose and not necessarily for this filing. So, be aware of that, be alert, check it out. I just did a Google search for FinCEN BOI filing. And one of the first websites I came up with, our website blocker came up and said, this is a malicious site. I chose another one and it did the same thing. And I finally got to a third one and it let me through. It didn't come up as a malicious site. So you got to be very careful when you're doing this, because this is a lot of information that you're giving out for the owners of your business. And so, want to make sure that you're checking things out before you go in and do this and make this filing so that you stay secure. And again, if you want to do it yourself, go to fincen.gov, fincen.gov, and get in there and make that filing there so that that you're secure. Now, if you're a single member, it's probably the easiest thing that, easy for you to do. It may take you a little bit of time in getting that ID set up and going through their hoops, but make sure you're checking that out. Another quick question came in that didn't identify themselves, but they said they had some minor children that they've given interest into the business, and they each own 33%. So mom and dad combined own 33, and each of the kids own 33. They're minor children. You still have control for them. Once they turn 18 and they still have that interest, they would then have to be reported as a beneficial owner, because now they're of age to make decisions. But again, if they're under 18, they would be considered minor, and you would have control for them. The businesses, who is this one? Oh, Joey. Businesses in a living trust that we control do we have to report the ownership of the LLC that's owned in the living trust? Yes, you would. Now, I'm not an attorney and I would call the attorney, but based on the information that I am reading, you would have to file the beneficial ownership information and include yourself in that as well, because you're exerting the control over the business based on the control statute in FinCEN. Now, again, if you have a deeper question about that, because you have an attorney that set up the living trust, make sure you reach out to your attorney to determine if you've got to make that filing for the living trust. And we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, what we're going to talk about is trucker taxes, tax relief for truckers. What happens if you owe the IRS money? And we're going to do that right after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Stop spending time doing paperwork. Go to truckertaxtools.com, a solution built specifically for truckers. Truckertaxtools.com makes your life run smoothly. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, if you haven't connected with us at taxtalk4u.com, make sure you get over there and connect with us today. We got a lot of subscribers out there, and we've been having fun getting mugs out to some of our subscribers. Don't just subscribe, but share it with your friends and family, especially this episode, BOI filing. This is one that's really, really important to people in small businesses, whether you're running an LLC, an Inc., whether you're an S Corp, C Corp, get out there and do it. But we're going to talk here about taxes and getting that tax monkey off your back, especially if you are an owner operator. But get in there and subscribe to Tax Talk for You. Hey, this is our IRS monkey. Like, this is what we get off people's back every day. We got started in this business as taxationsolutions.net tax relief in helping people beat the IRS. And a lot of them happen to be owner operators, truck drivers. So we got into doing bookkeeping and taxes, but especially tax relief. You owe the IRS, whether you owe $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000 or $50,000, it seems like it's over $1 million. The weight of tax debt being on your shoulders, and that's what we take off, for you. You being an owner operator, you've got enough on your hands. You don't need somebody out there stalking you in your truck or stalking your bank account, levying your bank account, putting liens on your property, whether it's your truck, whether it's your house, other assets. When you owe the IRS money, it is a burden that is like no other, because the collection agency's power is very great. We talk about this on Ask the Experts when I'm on their radio program with them nationwide, talking about tax relief. But as an owner operator, you need somebody on your side, somebody that's going to fight this. See, years ago, I was working on a few cases, and they all happened to be truck drivers that, hey, I know when you're on the road filing your taxes, keeping up with your bookkeeping, all this stuff is daunting. It's a big task. And that's why we have truckertaxtools.com to help you through that. So connect over there and help let us talk about your bookkeeping and your taxes. But when you owe the IRS money, what are you going to do? Get that tax monkey and the burden off your back and call us and let us at Taxation Solutions stop them from coming after you and taking everything you own. See, years ago, I was dealing with an IRS agent, and in talking with her, Matter of fact, it was right about this time of the year. She was taking some vacation. She goes, the best part about vacation is I'm on the road. And if I see a truck, 18-wheeler out there, that is one of the taxpayers that owes me money, I can repo it. Man, can you imagine that kind of power? Coming after an owner operator's truck who's on the road doing a service for you and I. That to me, hey, you need to relax, take some vacation, get off. Don't be going on the road. Go repo somebody else's plane or something else, but don't repo a truck. Call us. Let us stop the IRS. We can put in a temporary hold. We can put in a payment plan. We can do an offer and compromise where you're going to settle for less than what you owe if you qualify. We might even be able to put you on a partial pay installment agreement. But the first thing we're going to do is do a complete tax analysis. Find out why you owe the money. We run a no judgment zone. We don't pass judgment on you because you owe money to the IRS. Matter of fact, what we want to do is find a way to solve your tax problem so that you don't have to worry about the IRS ever again with that tax debt. Now, again, it may be a payment plan because that may be all you qualify for. It may be a partial pay installment agreement because you can qualify to get your debt reduced by only paying part of what is owed. It may be non-collectible status where you don't have to pay anything until your life situation changes. And it may be what everybody hears about and everybody dreams about and everybody expects is that pipe dream that many, many companies will sell you any day of the week because it's what you want to hear. And that is that offer and compromise where you're settling for absolutely less than what you owe. But not everybody qualifies for it. See, if your business is good, you may not qualify. If your business is bad, you might qualify. Then again, we got to look at what assets and what you own. Maybe your house has a lot of equity in it, so you may not qualify 100% for an offer and compromise. Maybe there's a way we can protect your house to where you can still qualify for that. Or maybe there's a better way where we get you into a partial pay installment agreement and you pay less than what you owe. See, every one of these techniques requires special financial guidance, special financial knowledge, so that we can perfect what is going to be best for you. See, we took Daniela over here, who was an owner operator, and she had debt, and the IRS was absolutely wrong. So we get the IRS, we worked closely with the IRS to perfect getting that debt 100% removed from her tax. Now we have 1 year that's sitting out there. We're going to hit CSEDs. It's just statute of limitations, and the debt's going to go away in 6 months. The reason we didn't do anything about that is because it was a bad filing on the IRS's part. Somebody filed for her using her name and social security number about almost 10 years ago. She also filed a married filing joint return with her husband, which is the true and correct return. But the IRS still has that debt out there on her from those many years ago. That debt will go away. We've worked with the IRS to let that debt go away. So there's many different techniques in getting through this, and everybody's situation is different. So if you owe the IRS, pick up the phone and give us a call. It's a free consultation. We're going to stop the IRS from walking all over you, and we're going to help stop them now. But it takes you calling 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016, or go to taxationsolutions.net, and you're going to get a free, no obligation consultation Again, calling 888-930-1016. I have people standing by wanting to help you, wanting to put a stop to the IRS walking all over you. Hey, we have fun, and we want to address the things that are most important to you, whether you're an owner operator, whether you're in small business, whether you owe the IRS $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $1 million, $100,000, whatever that number happens to be. This program is about you. Tax Talk for you. TaxTalk4You.com. Go there and subscribe. Ask us to talk about certain things that you're excited about, that you want to know about. Whether it's in the tax code, whether it's how to file, where to file, whether it's BOI, more information on BOI, beneficial ownership information. We want to help you address the most critical things for your life. What can bookkeeping do for you? What can you deduct? How can you save more money on taxes and keep more money in your pocket? See, this day and age with inflation and everything else, if you're an owner operator, you know what the high fuel costs are. You know that all your costs have increased. As a small businessman, you know cost of goods have continued to increase. But finding ways to save money on taxes is one of the most important things that you can do. And if you're planning correctly, it keeps more money in your pocket. Hey, who doesn't like more money? Raise your hand, stand up, shout from the loudest mountain that you don't care about your money and you don't want to keep more of it. Stand up and say you want to pay more taxes. Matter of fact, I was at Truck to Success teaching a seminar there, and that's the first question we ask: who wants to pay more in taxes? You know what? Not one person stood up. I was at a truck show, Mid-American Trucking Show, and asked people on stage there, talking to them, who wants to pay more money in taxes? And not one person raised their hand and said, yes, I want to pay more in taxes. I know you don't. And if you do, you're lying. Because nobody says, hey, let me pay more. Nobody. And that's what this program is about. It's about you. It's about saving money on taxes. It's about keeping more money in your pocket, putting more food on your table, saving more for retirement. As an owner operator, as a small businessman, people don't talk about retirement. They talk about running your business until you're run into the ground. Let's talk about retirement. Let's talk about saving money. Let's talk about putting more money away or giving your kids a better start in life than you had. See, our goal as a parent is to make our kids' life better. Sometimes it might be making our grandkids' lives better. And we'll discuss all the different techniques and ways of doing things that make your life, your kids' life, your family life better by starting with keeping more money in your own pocket and not giving money to the IRS, to the federal government that you don't have and shouldn't have to give to them, because you have the keys to your own financial defense and saving money on taxes. So if you owe the IRS, hey, let's stop it. If you're an owner operator and you need bookkeeping help, you need tax help, pick up the phone and call us at Trucker Tax Tools. Go to truckertaxtools.com. Log in there, get a free consultation, free quote for bookkeeping and taxes. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter where you're just starting as an owner operator or you've been an owner operator for years. You need somebody with the knowledge and expertise to do this and save you money on taxes. So just call us at Trucker Tax Tools, 877-996-2477, 877-996-2477, or go to truckertaxtools.com. Hey, really enjoy bringing this program for you. Go to taxtalkforyou.com. Join us every week, Mondays here at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Let your friends and family know about us. And God bless. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thankful for you all being here. Again, be safe out there. See you next week.
Are you an individual or business that wants to understand taxes and how they affect you? Are you looking for specific tax advice for self-employed, business owners, and truckers? Are you behind on taxes and your bookkeeping? Are you dealing with the IRS and ready to have some relief? Then you need Tax Talk for You, hosted by tax and trucker expert Barry G. Fowler, EA. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday right here on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV. Don't forget to check this and past episodes at taxtalkforyou.com. See you next week at W4CY.com.